Welcome to another edition of YatlifeChronicles, where we are better together than separated. How you guys doing out there? Hope you're having a wonderful day. We have a special guest on the show today. She's the coupon ambassador for Christ. She go by the name of Dahl. She was dealing with some issues that was going on in the church. She felt like she wasn't being heard. She felt like she was being pushed out, and it drove her to commit suicide, but she survived it. We want to talk about this idealization of how the church should be represented. We want to talk about this image that the church is putting on, but dismissing the raw and uncut individuals and the members that's in the church that whose past, tumultuous lifestyle, things that they're dealing with of adversity that they're going through their life, sometimes that don't align with the church's image, right? And people get pushed out, people feel left out, people feel alone, people don't get heard. uh Answers and issues are left unaddressed because sometimes the church care more about the image than the real reality of the true people and its true members that's coming in there. And sometimes the image can overshadow the real reason that person is there, or digressing from the real help that this individual need. So we bring Dahl in today, what I'm saying, to talk about this issue and talk about how can we get the church to stop caring so much about an image and get to the real, true, uncut, raw human being. Sometimes don't align with the church image. It don't align with the idealization of what the church supposed to be. But in order to bring people out the lines, then you have to go in it. So you want to tell everybody your name, Dial, and tell everybody what it is you do. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dahl, and I am the coupon ambassador for Christ. And I got into that um, after having a stroke. Um, I had over 16 strokes, 16 surgeries. I
You
had
had
two
over
kids,
16 strokes,
16 surgeries,
16 surgeries. Wow.
and I had a heart complication, and I had to learn how to walk and talk and do everything again. I did have many strokes in my sleep. I had to go take some MRIs, and they showed that I was having many strokes in my sleep and also seizures.
hmm So does that, were you having strokes, and was any of this happening before your suicide attempt?
After I survived my suicide attempt, I had a mini stroke 2 weeks later after I gave birth to my oldest child. So when I gave birth to her, I had toxemia, which is high blood pressure. And all my life, I struggled with high blood pressure. And I was later diagnosed with PTSD. I have that very bad. And when I would go to the church to explain what I was going through, they were quick to say, "You don't trust God. You need to read your Bible more." Excuse me? What does that have to do with me struggling? So anytime I would express what I was going through, my relationship with God was always questioned as if I don't trust him enough. I depend more on the diagnosis, what people in the medical field had diagnosed me with. So since I could never talk about it, I just never felt welcome by the church.
And why is it that you couldn't talk about what you was going through? Is it that no one wanted to hear it? It didn't line up with the image of the church? This is just a morale that's not going on around here. Like, what was it that members didn't want to hear you out, and did not, did not want to kind of like help you out in that situation?
Because the church has an image of If you don't have a title, if you don't drive a certain type of car, if you don't have the right home or the right job, you're kind of like looked down on.
Mm.
You have to say all the right things to fit the image. And when I would say something, people were actually in the church would come up to me and say, "Why do it sound like you putting the church down?" And my comeback would be, "Why don't you handle truth? Because that's what's really going on." And even though I'm on social media, I don't get no support from the church. I know they see what I do, but they will scroll past my stuff and share other people's stuff. That hurts. And I'm tired. Why even post? And why even talk about God loves you when I don't feel it from people? I really don't. I have so many pastors on my page. They don't share my posts. They barely comment on it. But let it be somebody that they like. You can't get them to stop sharing their stuff and
So
not
what you
post.
saying is more about, so we having a struggle for authenticity in the church, right? we
Yes, and
got
I'm
this
real.
we got this pursuit for image. We got this pursuit for an idealization of what the church should look like. So what's
Hmm.
happened is that certain members are being shunned out, certain members are being dismissed, certain members are not being heard. Why is that?
You have to fit the image, and if you don't fit the image, you are not just as important. You're not important. That's
Mm.
how it is.
So how
And
do we get the church to focus more on reality instead of their image, the reality of what their members are truly and truly and innately going through? You know what I'm saying? Like, literally going through. How do we get them to take their focus off of their quote unquote image and start dealing with the reality of the people and what they're really going through as a whole, and as individuals?
stop calling in people with titles to be speakers, and listen to somebody in your congregation who are really going through stuff that people need to hear. Because when you bring people in with titles, they're not going to tell you what they're really going through. They want you to think that they have it all together, and that's not the case in a lot of cases. You don't know how many marriages are really, they don't get along, but they get along and put the faces on at church. And when they get and if they ride together in the same car, they don't even talk. But when it's time to come to church, they want to act like everything is okay. The home is good, the kids are good, and the finances. They live in this perfect life, and that's not necessarily the case.
So what do you think about, why is it taboo in the church to have the mental health discussions, about suicide within this religious communities that's being silent, that a lot of people don't know about? Their mental health is becoming bad and they're committing suicide because the church won't accept them. Like, talk about that a little bit and talk about how this has been going unaddressed for quite some time now.
Well, because they hit and miss on it. Instead of calling somebody in who is properly trained, they don't want to do that. They don't want to say, "I don't have the proper experience." Would rather portray the image of they have it together. If you need somebody to come in here and help you, send them in. You will draw more people in the church if you shown you really care.
Mhm.
How many people have left the church and the administration called to check them to see how they're doing? You know what their attitude is? If they want to leave, just let them leave. Oh, that person's just crazy. We don't have time to babysit somebody. Either you want to be in church or you don't. That's not the case with some people. You don't know what people are going through before you have an encounter with them. I know what that's like. I grew up in the church, very gifted, could play. I played the piano for the little kids choir. I could sing, I could do all of that. But I was overlooked due to having children before marriage. And it had got back to me, we can't let her be a part. She had babies before wedlock. How can she be an example to the young girls? And I said, what do you want me to do? Sleep with somebody's husband? Sleep with another sister boyfriend? Would that be more acceptable? Because that's what y'all allow to go on. And you don't sit them down. Yeah, I went through all of that. And when I had people in the street, it felt me more than church. A guy and his husband who spent time in the prison. The husband had got shot. He was a leader of a gang. He died on the table. And his wife, she was just as bad. And I met them and they said, how can we help your ministry? Every week they sponsored my ministry. I never had to buy a coupon. And I blessed so many people. I even blessed churches with my coupon of ministry. Ask me, did they ever take up a donation? Mm-mm. Ask me when I gave them stuff, did they ever post it?
And how
No.
did your coupon ministry? Just give us a quick analysis on how did you start your coupon ministry?
Well, when I had my stroke, when my when I had my stroke, I lost everything. Physical therapy wasn't helping, so my son was away at college. He had a full football scholarship. He told his coach, if it's meant for him to go to the NFL, he'll go. But his mother needed him right now. He came home. Mind you, nothing was working. He walked in my room. He said, "Mama, watch the coupon." He said, "I want you to watch this show." I turned when I started watching the Coupon Extreme show. I said, "This can't be real." I got into it and I started practicing. People had to take me to the store because I couldn't drive. Went in there, start getting it, and as time went on, I was able to start walking, talking, gradually coming back. So I turned it into a ministry. Out of being homeless, I've been through all of that. And so
Mhm.
I just turned it into an emotional ministry.
And you feel like the church has shunned you away. You feel like the church wouldn't let you speak, and that's why I brought you to Y'all Life Chronicles, because Y'all Life Chronicles is a platform for those hidden voices, for those voices people don't want to provide a platform for. Y'all Life Chronicles is that show as to where it provides a platform for those silent voices, for those voices that's hidden in the corner that nobody can hear, for those people that's dealing with issues that nobody else want to promote or put on their platform, and because of their so-called image. Over here
Yeah.
at Yacht Life Chronicles, we're not maintaining a so quote unquote image over here. We're dealing with real life, real reality issues. We're dealing with real people, because the job is to be able to fix things. If we can't fix things, then what are we doing? If we're not trying to crack a code on some things, then what are we doing? We're just wasting time. So for the people that's looking at this show is it's not about me. It's not about no image. It's about you and the people, you know, and the things that you guys bring to this show, and the different nuance of things and conversations that you bring to this show. And this is a very unique conversation, because in '89 you were pushed into a corner as to where you committed suicide and you survived it. Let's talk a little bit about that for a second.
Well, when I attempted it,
Like
I
what
literally
was the like what were you going through at that time? Like what was the church doing to you, and what you feel like the church wasn't doing for you that pushed you in that corner and pushed you in that direction?
they judge me like they're going to judge me now. Um, they gonna be on the phone calling people and say, "Hey, did you hear Don? John? talking about the church. I'm not talking about the church. I'm talking about the reality of what people actually experience. So when I attempted it, I had said, why even live? I don't have no point. People treat me like a dog. I feel like I'm not important, and I struggle with that by myself. So to explain it to people, they will always shun me. Don't talk about that. You don't believe in God. And I just said, forget, I'm not going to tell anybody else about it. I'm just going to take my life because I'm tired. And when the paramedics came, I was out, but my subconscious voice said, she young. Man, we got to save her. And they tried to wake me up subconsciously, but it wasn't working. And they put some stuff under me. And when they put it under my nose, I started throwing up and gagging. And I heard the one guy say, thank God we saved somebody. And a family don't have to worry about preparing a funeral. But I'm going to tell you something. I told my children, if I die, I don't want no funeral. The churches have made me feel I'm not even worthy to be in the church to have a funeral. So, what if you didn't treat me right while I was living? Why would I have a funeral for you to come and just stare and look at me? You didn't treat me right while I was living, so why come to my funeral? And I mean that. I have wrote my will, and I'm going to go to the funeral home and say I do not want the funeral, and I'm going to stand on that, and I'm serious about that.
So, dog, how can the church start addressing this taboo surrounding mental health, poor mental health, and suicide? Like, how can the church step up and be more active in the member's life as to where this situation can stop taking place?
For one, they need to stop allowing people to put poison in their ear about other people. Because you don't know what that person has been through before, like I said, coming to church. We want them to come all dressed, wonder if they don't have the clothes to wear. Did you think about going to buy them something? Or no, you just talk about them? If they smell, do you go out and buy them personal needs stuff? Or you get on the phone and say, girl, did you see so and so and so and so? She came in there smelling, and you know she got a baby by so and so and so. What does that have to do with the tea in China?
So
Not a
the church
doggone
then
thing.
basically, and I don't want to say all the church, but
That's
some of the
right, not
church
all.
that some of the church then became a gossiping arena, basically a
Right.
judgmental, like. But if we only have one judge, then how we gonna have all these many judges down here on earth?
They doing it.
If God is the only judge, what that say about the many judges that's judging people down here on earth? Do they
They
actually
doing it.
believe in the one judge that only supposed to judge? If they're down here judging,
It's a
is
front.
that possible? Is that possible for them to believe in the greatest judge, which is God, and they're down here as a mini judge, judging each and every individual basically that they bump into?
That's fake.
That's a hypocrite. Well, it'd be a hypocrite, right?
Absolutely. You one way at church, and then as soon as you get out the door, you another. I don't have time for that, and I don't play
That's
the
called
games.
being two faced and where I'm from.
Yes, it is. James 108, double mind. And see, I tell people how I feel. Oh, she always bitter. I'm not bitter. I just tell you like it is, and you can't handle it. You want me to shut up so you can keep doing people the way you want to do it. It's not happening with me because I'm going to tell you how I feel. And don't invite me to your church to testify because I'm going to tell it like it is. So
Mhm.
maybe that's why no one has ever invited me. I don't bite my tongue. It's people out here hurting. It's people next to people in church want to commit suicide. You dare not say you want to commit suicide. You dare not say that. Oh no, you're not going to say that. You go to our church and you're going to make the pastor look bad. What about if the pastor is the reason why you're hurting? Don't nobody sit the pastor down and say, "Hey, I don't like what you're doing. You running people off." But everything is hush, hush, hush. We can't expose the church.
So,
That's
dog, this because I want you to explain to people the consequences of this ignored reality within the church. If we keep ignoring these voices, if they keep silencing these voices that's in this church, and if they keep not listening to these voices in the church, what do they think gonna become of the member that's not being heard of, that's not being heard from?
Suicide is going to be high like never before. There's a lot of people dealing with suicide attempts, and I can read people posts and tell when they want to commit suicide. I've called to many of people and talked to them. And I'm gonna share this since you asked that question. I had a friend on my friends list. You could hear suicide. I tagged people. I said, "Where are the pastors? Do you not hear this young lady? She's thinking about committing suicide." She called me later. She said, "Dahl, thank you so much for posting that because she wanted to commit suicide. Nobody reached out to her. And when she got over it, she tagged me in the post and said, y'all called Dahl crazy, but she reached out to her. And as a result, she finished her schooling, got her master's degree, and now working on her doctorate. All because I picked up that phone and said, hey, I understand. I've been there. But a lot of times when you speak truth, the first thing people want to do is call you crazy. They're not crazy. They're reaching out and they're tired. We rather support drinking, getting high, partying, sharing that type of stuff than sharing a person post who is really doing something. I'm I'm done with my hometown. I'm done. And I thank you for allowing me to tell my real testimony. You don't know how much I appreciate that because I was so hurt.
But I don't
And
want you to be done with your city. I don't want
oh,
you to be done with your city because there's still hope. There's still hope. And the hope comes through you. The hope comes through me. See, I told you here on Y'all Life Chronicles, our job is to fix a problem. So we're addressing this unaddressed issues that's going on in the church. And maybe we can reach out there and help somebody else who's going through the same thing that you were going through. And hopefully they don't attempt to attempt suicide as to where they can hurt yourself. Because this show is to be able to prevent the next member who's out there that's being shunned away, that's being dismissed and shunned into a corner and not being heard in the church, that's maybe thinking about harming themselves. Hopefully they can see this show and they can see your story and they can think different, think more positive. And I really think that we're going to be able to fill this gap. So I wanted to ask you, in what ways do you think the church could be better as far as supporting individuals who are struggling with issues that don't align with the church's traditional image?
take that as, first of all, they need to admit they don't know how to dress it. That's number one. And when you admit that you don't know how to address it, call someone in who specializes in that instead of thinking that you have all of the answers. It's a pride issue in churches. If they can't control it, they don't want to be a part of it. That's how people are leaving here and giving up. That's the real truth.
Hmm. Do you think that Do you think the pastor have too much on his plate with the members that he can't deal with them all at, one on one? He can't be there for them all individually. Maybe he may need some type of help, or maybe he need to spend more time with more members. Let's try to find a solution for this. Like, what if I was a pastor? What can I do to be attentive to my members? And okay, if I have a member that's going through something and I might not have heard from, but I've been seeing this member on Sunday. Like, how can I weave through, like, how can I get to the meat and potatoes of this as a pastor to deal
First,
with this issue with my members?
first thing, a pastor has to be willing for change. If say for example, if this person thought about suicide, if this person struggles with drink, if this one struggles with crack cocaine, You put them in different categories. You don't put everybody in the same category. The person who dealing with crack could help the other person dealing with crack because they know what it's like and they going through the same thing. You can't call nobody in who's never been through that. What they're going to do, they're going to judge, and those people are going to feel judged and shut down. You can't put a dope dealer in a group with a deacon who's never sold dope. All he's going to do is tell you to quit selling dope. Are you going to replace that money he's making? You got to talk through that stuff. It's hard. And until the church understands its categories to healing, everybody can't be in the same category. I can't be in a category with a married woman. I'm not married. I can't understand what you're going through. I'm not married. I can get into a group with single women who have been hurt by men and left for dead and feel that they're not worth anything. We get together and we encourage each other and share our testimony instead of laughing at those type of women and going and telling your girls, girl, did you hear what she said? That is so dumb and heartless to me. And we're saying we of God. God is about the brokenness. Nowhere in the Bible did he say, treat people wrong so you can go get a car. Treat people wrong so you can go get that new house. That's not what he said. You minister to the people who have been hurt and you encourage them no matter what you've been through. God can still give you the desires of your heart. It's a process. Don't try to be like nobody else. Go at God's speed, not somebody else's speed, because you're going to miss building character.
Mm,
It's a process. And a lot of people don't want to go through that. They just want to quick. It's not an easy, quick situation.
mm,
Once your mind is made up, you will go through what you need to go through to get to where you need to be.
mm. So, can you talk about the concept of the hidden voices in the church? How do you feel the voices of those like yourself have been silenced? And why is it important that voices like yourself and others that's been silent within the church be heard?
I think one thing that the churches need to put back in is testimony services. It's, it's been taken out. And that's how you get to know people when you hear their testimony. And when they share their testimony, be willing to still love them, hug on them. Don't be so quick to spread that. If we would spread a person's struggle like we spread a person's material gain, healing will begin. Hey, you know that sister she's going through, she came to church. She didn't really have no clothes. As a sisterhood, let's chip in to buy her some clothes. That's how healing begins. Um, they didn't have no food. Let's chip in to get them some food. No, they're too busy telling everybody she came to church, she ain't had no food. You killing her. And when a person gets to the point where they don't matter, sometimes it's too late to reach them. Those are the type of people will be missed being dead than alive. That may sound heartless. I believe it about myself. If 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 push came to shove where I said, okay, I'm tired, I'm gonna just go on and end it, they will really talk about my ministry. Why you didn't show support when I was alive? It should not take somebody to kill themselves. Once a person kill themselves, if they could get a chance to explain why, you know what they would say? Nobody listened to them. And
I
they
want to
felt,
ask you something. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to ask you something because we have a lot of women in the ministry. Well, a lot of women pastors. Shout out to my cousin Angela Curry Parks over there at Greater Impact Michigan, Greater Impact Ministries over there in Sheridan. You know, we have a lot of women that's stepping up to the industry, but a lot of men are not supportive of them. A lot of men are not embracing them as pastors. And I understand in the Old Testament, you know, women wasn't supposed to, they say women wasn't supposed to lead and this and that. But we got a female president we got a female that's running for president at this current time, that will be leading the country in November. I'm a speaking into existence. Um, what do you think that needs to be implemented for people to more embrace women that's in the ministry and women pastors that's trying to rise to where a lot of men is at?
Quick categorizing and listen to them and watch what they're doing. If you give a woman a chance to speak, watch the results. Just watch the results. They're very
Mm-hmm.
powerful, and they're more transparent.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you win people. Transparent. You can't just point your finger and don't have personal experiences.
Mm. So, how do you think the churches could begin to address the unspoken issues and struggles that are often ignored in the favor of preserving their ideal image? Like, what changes do you believe are necessary for them to focus more on the reality of the member instead of their image?
First need repentance. Go to God and ask them to forgive them for treating people how they have been treated and showing favoritism. Now, that will break a lot of yokes because they went to God and not people. When you go to God and ask for repentance and guidance, He will show you how to do what you need to do to reach the people. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to give you the impression that you're the fault. Well, if you will change, no, you you're killing people and you're running them away. Ask people how they feel who don't go to church and be ready to hear the answer. How many
Mm,
people in the church call people who haven't been in the church? Well, hey, we know that you haven't been in church in a while. Is everything okay? They don't do that. Their attitude is if they want to leave, let them leave. I don't have time to be babysitting nobody. Either you want to be in the church or you don't. That's the wrong attitude.
mm,
The folks that you ran off are some of the most powerful people if you would just listen to them.
mm. So, what message do you want to send to those who feel silenced or feel marginalized by their religious community? How can they find strength and support in other ways as to where they won't have the same experience like you did, with an attempted suicide?
When I was struggling, churches were really not supportive of getting counseling or therapy. That wasn't of God. I tell people now, if you have a good therapist, go get therapy. Start there, and make sure you got the right one, because there's some special therapists too that tell you one thing. They give you excellent advice, but they don't treat their family right. You got to watch all of that too.
Mhm.
It's
So, can you
deep.
share your thoughts on your relationship between your faith, mental health, and community support? Like, how can churches create a more inclusive and supportive environment for all members, so they can feel safe, they can feel comfortable, they can feel embraced as they go to church. And they don't feel like they're being silent, shunned out, or being dismissed.
A willing, open mind to be prepared for the long haul. You can't do no instant stuff. It takes time. Most people who have been hurt, it's not an overnight situation. It's years. And I noticed a lot of the people in the church, they get irritated. They can start out loving you, but as soon as you start showing your pain or your struggles, they shun from you. They don't want to hear it. You can call them, they're gonna decline your call or they won't answer your call. Be somebody that's doing the right thing in their eyes. Oh, sister so and so really got it going on. Oh, girl, brother really got it going on. But how are they treating people? Don't nobody have time for that fake stuff. The barriers need to be broken. It's a process.
Mm,
It's not gonna happen just on Sunday, Wednesday night. You
mm,
have to be willing to get to the nitty gritty, which is the pain. What started the pain? Once you get there, the ice is broken. So then we can develop a plan.
mm. Mm,
But don't nobody want to hear a plan. It's
mm.
all about let's get these cars, let's get this
Everybody pushing
money.
a personal agenda, basically.
Yes, and the folks with the hearts, they're called crazy. We don't want to hear them. You need to listen to them people who you think crazy, because a
Mm-hmm.
person who is considered crazy, they have been through more than what the average person been through. And it's by the grace of God they still got their mind to tell their testimony. I'm supposed to be sitting up in a mental institution in a rocking chair, eating popcorn, butt naked. That's how much I've been through. But I
Mm-hmm.
still got my mind.
Mm-hmm. Still got your sanity.
I still got
Yeah,
my mind.
yeah. And I understand that God has brought you through a lot, and He's going to keep blessing you. And I'm glad that you was able to get your testimony and you was able to get your story out today, because this was very important to me, just like I know it was very important to you. So I want you to, looking back on your journey, what advice would you give to someone who is struggling with similar pressures that they went through with the church or within their religious community? Like, what would you tell them? What advice would you give to them for the person that's been in your shoes?
Try not to do it by yourself. Because when you isolate yourself, that's when the suicide thoughts come. You don't want to,
But
you
if I'm
want,
not
you,
being heard, nobody is accepting and embracing me. My lifestyle is bad. It's so bad to the point that, you know.
I, this may sound crazy. I went to the streets to be heard. The
Mm,
streets motivated me to get in. I remember my sister Danae Ivy. We used to do some stuff back in the day. She said, you finna stay over there. Don't you come back out here in these streets.
mm-hmm,
My people in the world who have a heart, they're the ones who call me and say, "Hey, Doll, how you doing? You need anything? Is everything okay? How's your PTSD? You ever had them suicide thoughts? Do you need us to come over there and pray for you?" That's who keeps me in. My people that don't go to church because they seen where God has brought me from to where He's taken me. You go around people who genuinely love you and will support you and not judge you. God never said your support gonna come from the church, nor did He say it's gonna come from the people in the world. You go where you are accepted, and that's how you start healing. The
mm,
church didn't help me heal. My people
mm,
in the street, my boys released from the prisons helped me heal. My
mm,
girls who used to be prostitutes helped me heal. They are my biggest supporters for real.
mm, mm. So, how do you see the future of the church, and what impact do you hope it will have on those who feel left out or unheard within a congregation?
People have to be willing to accept people for who they are. And
Mhm.
once they feel accepted, they'll start opening up. When I did go to church, I always sat in the back. I never I never sat up to the front. I didn't feel worthy.
Did you feel ashamed?
No,
Like,
I was
because I know
broken.
some, huh? Go ahead.
I was broken. I used to get prayer so much. The folks at the altar will say in my ear, "Stop getting prayer so much. Let the people who really want to change their life come and get prayer." What? That's what they would say in my ear. You be in prayer too much. I think that was the most craziest thing.
Right. So we want the church to not to stop neglecting the essence of the truth and the raw and uncut, um, the persona of the members. Certain members have different lives than other people. Certain people came up different than other people. Certain people came up with a gold spoon in their mouth. Certain people came up tricking and had to, get out there and, do what they had to do in order to survive. But the thing about that is that we shouldn't judge them on how they had to survive. A lot of people not taught to love. A lot of people are raised on survival. They family, they mom, they dad only taught them how to survive in this world. It's hard for people to learn to love. It's hard to learn for people to not how to judge. We have so many judges down here on this earth, but the majority of them are in the church, to the point where if I'm looking and I'm believing in the greatest judge, then I can't be a judge myself. I can't be a mini judge down here judging humanity. And I expect nobody to judge me. We have to get away from that quality of life. So because we want to address the real life issues and the compassion and the truth that's going on in the church. And we want to get away from the quote unquote the idealized image that a church should have. What a church should be full of is love, is hope, is building up its members, celebration, things of this nature. We have got away from that. We have got away from the one-on-one, the pastor and member, one-on-one conversations, the pastor coming over to different members' houses after Sunday and getting to know who is the people that's coming into their church home. Asking their people, who is your friend that you brought? Just getting all the way in depth with what's going on in the home of their church. So I just wanted to say that, because we don't want to leave nothing unaddressed. We don't want to leave nothing unanswered. We don't want to leave any issues on the floor. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Anything that you want to address as far as the church is concerned and what they need to do as far as making sure that this does not happen again?
They need to copy off of you. What do I mean by that is you open up a platform to talk about nitty gritty stuff.
Exactly.
That's how you really get to know. You're not on here promoting cars or anniversaries or this and that. You're actually talking about mental health issues to keep people alive. And we need more people like you. The churches need more people like you. Forget about if that person may cuss every now and then. Need to go to the streets to educate the churches. Your heart is so pure to want people to be heard. Wonder if pastors did that. I'm not saying a lot of them don't, but I'm saying a lot of them don't do it. If they was to come and sit down with you and talk to you and be open, I promise you, things will change in churches. For real, for real.
Mhm. And hopefully we can, this episode help some churches and help some members and help some pastors, to be able to look at and investigate these unaddressed mental illness, these issues of unaddressed things that a lot of members can't relate to. A lot of members don't feel comfortable in a lot of these churches because they feel like their past and things they've been through in life and their lifestyle don't align with the churches, but they are making a commitment to change. They are making a commitment to do something different because they're there. So if they are there, they're doing something and trying to pursue another lane in life. And for them to be judged, for them to be looked at as any different from any other member, as any other person within the congregation that has a title, is not the way. That's misguiding members. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to misguide your own members. You want your members to feel embraced. You want your members to be able to come to the congregation with their testimony and be able to exude it amongst the congregation into the world. Sometimes a person just want to be heard and that's it. Sometimes a person just need to be listened to and that's it. I don't need no money. I don't need you gifting me with this or nothing. I just need to be heard. I want you to understand what I'm going through as an individual, as a human being. You know,
And another way that the older women in the church can encourage the younger women is if they had babies before, pull that young lady to the side and say, baby, I had a baby before marriage, but the Lord blessed me to marry someone who's not their biological father, accepting them as their and raise them. Or you had a baby before married and was blessed to marry the father. A lot of people hate people for what they still do. That's why they
Mhm.
can't help them. You mad at me, I tell the truth. And it irritates the hell in you. That's what it really is. And until we drop that pride, encourage people that they can make it, they're going to always feel why even bother because you already judge me.
Mm.
I do not feel loved by any ministers on my Facebook page. And I'm going to say that. I don't feel it. They see what I do, nothing. But go to somebody else's stuff and comment. Do you know how they feel? Not
Well,
from
I
my
just want
word.
to, but I just want to let you know, Dial, you embraced over here at Yacht Life Chronicles. Whether the church won't accept you, no pastor will accept you, don't embrace you. I accept you over here. I love you. I respect you as a person. I respect your mind. I honor and I respect what you've been through as a person to be able to get to this point because we need stronger individuals like you that can exude that type of trait to the world that can help somebody else. I built Yacht Life Chronicles simply because I wanted a platform. I wasn't a person of titles. I wasn't this high, this person that did a lot of achieving in life. I was just a person that been through a lot of negativity and a lot of bad things in life. So what I wanted to do was be able to put my adversity on a platform to help somebody else as to where, to prevent them from going in the direction that I went in. And I want you to know that same way with you. You know, I love the way that you came in here and you put your adversity on the platform to be able to help somebody else. We're not going to worry about the ones that's not embracing you or helping you, but we're just going to worry about the ones we do, and we're going to work from there because we can stress ourselves out and we can worry ourselves to death about the people and how the people is not there for us. People going to always disappoint us. That's one thing people going to always do is disappoint. But long as you make your own self, your own best friend, which you would never disappoint yourself. You know, that's where your confidence and your self-esteem and your capabilities start to pick up. Because when you feel like you pushed off and shunned into a corner, you can't maximize your potential that way. You can't be creative that way. You can't be ingenuitive in that way. And we in the church really have to look at this issue that's taking place here, because if not, then the consequences are going to be real detrimental in the end, because the care and the mission of the churches should be to offer unconditional support, love, guidance, embracing people as they are with all their imperfections and struggles. However, when we preserve a certain image, and we allow that to take precedence, the church fails in its fundamental role as a sanctuary for the broken and the last. You know what I'm saying? We got to get to the people that need it the most. You know, such and such have been in church and they mental health and they've been helping people for years. We can't keep the focus on them. We got to focus on the ones that's broken, the ones that's put last, the ones that's in the corner without a voice. So hopefully, uh this thing get addressed. Hopefully, as a church, the pastors will be more interpersonal with their members as to where something like this won't happen, what you've been through. And hopefully your story can be a beacon of light to help somebody else.
Well, I didn't want to put you in this situation. I called a lot of my stores and I told them You were the first man to interview me and shed light on my ministry. So this is what they want to do for you. They're going to donate some stuff to your show. So
Mm,
as people come in, if they need food or anything, my ministry and my stores are going to bless your ministry in case you have some guests that may need some food or personal need items. You help put light on the ministry that God has given me. And so I just want to say, I appreciate you. So many people, we're going to interview you, we're going to do this. It didn't happen. You were the first one. It didn't take long either. It didn't take long at all. We talked last week, and here I am today. When somebody want to do something for you, it don't take all day. So
mm-hmm.
I pray that whoever was feeling down, didn't feel like they can make it. It's gonna be hard, but you can make it. I'm telling you, you can make it because I made it, and God gave me that ministry to give hope to the hopeless. And I'm going to take what you said. Don't worry about who didn't do this or who did that. But I need you to understand something. It's going to take time for me to trust my city again. Oakland County and Detroit helped me give everything to Saginaw. Everything that I did. They believed in me. So I will bring so much stuff home. And to not be acknowledged for that, if I hadn't posted pictures myself, it would have looked like I lied. They told me if I were you, doll, you need to give up. You need to stop giving to your city because they don't show no appreciation. When somebody gives you something and it's within stores, they have somebody that they have to be accountable for. Where did you give this stuff and what was it for? I did stuff. Hardly nobody did it. I'm going to trust you, but I'm not going to say it's going to be an overnight process with me giving back to Saginaw. As of now, I'm done. The hurt is
Yeah,
too deep.
and I understand that. And I don't want you to feel so despondent to the point where you don't give your city a chance no more. I know you exhausted. I know you feel like you done ran out of
13
all
years.
your gas. But believe me, there are so many people that need you. There are so many people that's waiting to hear your voice. There's so many people that wants to hear this show. I want to thank you for coming in here and giving us this great interview. I want to thank you for being able to step up and work with me if the guest is in need. We can get things and food and clothes and things to them. And this is the beginning of a new journey for us. This is a brand new journey for us. Like I say, when I do an interview, it's not like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and I'm gone. No, I'm gonna always come back around. I'm gonna always be there to work with you on any project, any event, anything. Once you come to this show, you're a YLC member for life. And, you know, it's an urgent need for churches to shift their focus, from external perceptions of what their ideal image should be to the internal well-being of the members. They need to shift their focus from their image to their members, to the well-being of the members. The church must become a place where all voices are heard, all struggles are acknowledged, and all people are embraced. um, Regardless of how their lives may be challenging, the church's quote unquote ideal image, or what they suppose to believe their image should be, only by embracing the uncut reality of the human experience as far as their members in the church, where they can truly fulfill its calling and provide the hope and healing that so many members desperately seek. Hopefully, we can get this issue addressed. This is a very important show for a lot of members out there, for a lot of Christian people that's being unheard, that's being left out, that's being casted out. We have to stop judging in this church. We have to. If we believe there's one judge, then we shouldn't be no many judge down here judging everybody else. Because like we're like our life is perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. Quit judging people. We only have one judge. Allow people to be them. Allow people to feel like they can be them when they are around you. You know, don't shun people away because of who they are or what they've been through. Learn to help them, embrace them, give them the therapy that they need. You know, this world is hurting. These churches is hurting. These
Mm.
communities, especially in our black communities, is hurting. And you're not doing nothing but adding to the problem when you study contributing your prejudice and you study contributing your biasness and you study contributing your judgment upon me. You know, so let's stop that. Let's stop that, and let's shift that focus from what a church should look like to the internal organization of the raw and uncut things that's going on with these members so that we can prevent the next person from not committing suicide and killing themselves. Dog, I want to thank you for this great interview. I want to wish you blessings on your journey, and I wish you greatness in everything in all your endeavors. And to the listeners out there today, I hope that you got a real lesson out of this today. I want you to go out there as a church member and help somebody. Help somebody that you haven't helped before. Go out and hear a church member that you haven't heard before. Go out and see what's going on in their internal being. Get in a personal with the member. And members, get in a personal with your co-members. Pastors, get into personal with your members in the church. Deacons, all y'all as a family. Because that's the only way this issue is gonna get addressed. You know. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in. We want to thank Dog, you know, Coupon Ambassador for Christ Dog coming in and just giving us a great interview. And hopefully things will get better in the church. So thank you guys for thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of Yacht Life Chronicles where we are better together than separated. Thank you guys for tuning in.